Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to install access control. This has already been done. You can see from my installation I've installed this hardware. This is a ZTECO and I'm using in bio for 4 doors each. So each of these in bio can handle 4 doors. This is the first one. On the right hand side, this is the second one. This one is also a 4 door. I've done the connection, I've connected all the doors, and then I'm going to show you how to do the software installation. In case this is a fresh installation, the first thing you have to do is to run your cabling first and then install the doors, the mat lock, your access control before we go to the software. So the software is what I want to show you how to install. Right now I've installed all of the hardware gadgets, so let's get into the software installation. So now we are going to be installing a ZTECO Access Control system. So this is the soft copy zipped file. I am going to set it up right now, so I'm going to click the setup file. That is if you've opened the software, the zip file folder, you're going to click the setup button, and that will start the installation process. So I'm going to click OK because I want to use English. In case you are not from an English speaking country, you can just scroll through and select your language accordingly. I'm going to accept the agreement, and then I'll continue, and then I'll keep going next. Then right now I'm going to back up the file. You have to specify a particular folder where all your files will be backed up, so that you can refer to it if there's any issue later. So here I'm going to specify a file here in my document, or you can use your desktop, wherever you want to save your backup file, and then you continue. So I'll go back and click next and install. So I will just hold on for you to finish the installation process. So this shouldn't take long. Alright, so the installation is complete. The next thing I'm going to do is to install the fingerprint. So I'm going to click next and install. Fingerprint is very important because you're going to use the fingerprints to capture the top print of the staff. So I'll click finish. Fingerprint is complete. So ZTECO Access is complete right now. It's going to ask you to either restart the system or continue. So I'll advise you to restart the system. So now I've restarted the system and ZTECO Access is installed on my system. I'm going to open it up right now so that I can show you how to use this particular software with the doors that you've installed already. So I'm going to log in. The admin password is going to be admin. You can change it later. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to log in right now, and the interface is going to open up. So I'll show you how to use each of these interface here. I'll show you how to use each of them to be able to capture your staff and how each of them works. So now we are going to start with personnel. So let's start with personnel. So now personnel is open. We are going to start with department. We're going to create a department. I've created a department before, but I'm going to create a fresh one just for the purpose of this tutorial. So I am going to go to department. You can see I've created my admin management, so I'm going to add a new one. So here I'm going to, let's say for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to use ICT. You can, depending on the different departments in your organization, you can create department accordingly. So I'm creating ICT department. I have my management, my admin. I want to create ICT department, so it's going to ask me for department number. Each of the departments should have a department number. So department number, I give it 04, and all of them should be under management or admin. Each of the parents department should be admin. For me, yours, depending on the organization of your company, you can either use management or admin depending on the structure of your organization. So that is done right now. I've created a department. You're going to see the reason for creating each department later. When we get to the personnel, you see the reason why it's important for you to create a department first. So let's go to the personnel. We are going to create the add each staff to the system. So I'm going to click add, and I'm going to start adding the staff into the system. So I'll start with personal ID. I can use any code for them, 1 2 3 4, depending on the number of staff you have. And I'm going to use a name. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use Brittany. You can include the name according to the name of the staff you have. So I'm going to include the card number. You're going to be using RFID card depending on the card you have. So I'm going to include the number of the card here, so that when the staff comes close to the door and uses the access there, the card there, it's going to recognize the card and then I'll give the person access. So I'm going to include the last name of the staff. So right now, if you notice, I left the number, the card number area is blank because I am not using any card now. But in your case, you either use a card or the fingerprint. So for the purpose of this video, I won't use the card, but there is provision for you to use the card if you want to, or to use fingerprint if you want to grant access to each person. Or you can also decide to include password for each of the staff, but since they are going to be using fingerprint and the card, so there is no need for that right now. You can include their email also, and you can also include their birthday, so it's easy for you to know the birthday of each of the staff. And then personnel, the privilege I'm giving this person is a personal privilege. I'm assuming that the person is a junior staff. Then I'll come to the fingerprint. I'll use a fingerprint sensor to capture the fingerprint of the staff. Then I'll come to the ID, and then I'll include the person's passport. So the person's passport should be on your system already. So I'm going to include the person's passport from my system. I'll include the passport. Alright, so for the card number, I will just use a card so that I fix in something, because I'm not going to use the USB fingerprint sensor right now. So I will just use just put anything there. So I'll go to the passport area. Then I'm going to fix in a password for the staff. Then I'll click save and continue. Okay, so you can see the staff is created here. So I'm going to issue a card. So if I had not issued a card before to the staff, I can just click on any staff and issue a card. That is, if I was using only fingerprint, I gave the person only fingerprint access, and then later we got cards and we decide to issue a card to the person. I can just go back here and then issue a card. You can decide to do a batch. issue the card in batches, so it will be easy to track and to trace each of the cards. Or if you want to give a particular department some type of number, so you just come to this batch, but you are not going to be using this batch for anything now. I just want you to know that it's option for you to use it if the need arises. So that is it for this. I'm going to close this up right now, and then we'll just go ahead. And you can also decide to generate. So right now, but we are not doing any of that. I will just close this up, and then because the personal ID is supposed to show here, I've not created any personnel right now with an ID card. So that is the reason, with a valid ID card, that is the reason why that operation isn't working. So right now I can decide to edit and then change card number. In case the person loses his card, I can edit it and then use a new card for the person, issue a new card for the person. So that is just it for this. We have the department, personnel, and then you can issue card for the personnel. So let's go to the device. We are going to add the devices to the software. So we click on add. You're going to include the device name. It depends on the kind of device you're using. You're going to include it there. So let's say you're using let me just, there are different kinds of device that you can use. Different kinds of doors are available, and different kinds of magnetic lock is available out there in the market. Different types, in bio and the rest. So whichever one you choose to use, you just include the device name here so that it will be easy for you to recognize it later if you want to grant anyone access to that particular device. So that is the main purpose for including the device name, the correct device name, so it will be easy for you to refer to it later if there is need for it. Alright, so let's just say for now I will just use any name at all. Let's say I want to use kitchen door, or I can just use something as front desk door. Or you can use ICT entrance. It depends on the device name. So you're going to give each of the device there that you've installed a name, so that it will be easy for you to grant access to them, or for you to refer to them if you have to grant any staff access to that particular device. So you're going to input a communication password if you want it to be passworded, but now we are not going to be going through all that process now, because there's actually no need for that for now. And then the device type, you are going to, for me, I'm using the 4-door access control panel. So it's 2 doors depending on the type that you've installed. There's 1-door access, there's 2-door. Right now I'm using 4-door, so I'm going to select 4-door. So I'm going to auto synchronize this time. You can see the time on this PC is what is going to synchronize to, and then I am going to give it an the area the door is located. So it's located around the ICT room. That is where the particular device is located, and then I can decide to connect through RS485, RS32232, but right now I'm using IP so that I can connect all the doors together to a particular network, so that it'll be easy for me to manage them, micromanage them. And then I'm going to include the IP address here and the IP port here also. Before I continue, you click OK, but you need to click the clear data. I need to check the clear data so that it'll be easy for you. So right now I will just wait for you to process, but right now it's going to fail. The reason why the process is going to fail is because there is no door actually attached to this device. You can see device failed because I didn't attach any doors to it. So I'm just doing this for the purpose of this training, just to show you how to use the software. So that is the reason why this failed. But if there's a door installed already connected to the system, it is not going to fail. It will work fine. So I'm going to just click OK and continue. So right now we just cancel because there's no door, so it won't continue. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is there is option to search device here also, which is with the search device option, they can search the device that is attached to the system if you don't know any of them. So let's go to the area, look at all the areas they are located here. So with this I can check each of the area, and then I can add new area. So if I want to add the area name, I can just say main office floor. Area number, I can just give it an area number, let's say 0023, and then area name, parent area name, that will be ICT room or back office door, whichever one. I can just give a remark to it, just something to point you towards that door, or whatever installation you did on that door, or anything you like to remember while you're working on that door. So two doors are connected. So I'll just click OK. You can see it is added here. Main office floor is added. Then let's go to the search device option. So the search device option is just to help you search the device. A device is attached to this system and you can't see them. You can search out the device so that you can begin to work with it, because sometimes you plug in a device to your system, depending on the operating system you're using, you find it hard to be able to locate that particular system. Now let's go to the next option, which is the access control itself. The access control itself, you can see this has a lot of options, so we're going to take them one by one. So let's start with the time zone. Time zone has to do with the time on your system, so I think that is what we're going to start up with right now. But this is real-time monitoring in case you want to monitor your system, but I would like us to start with the time zone first. So let's start with time zone. Okay, so the time zone, you can see 24 hours accessible. So I will just assume that this is an office complex that operates 24 hours a day, so I can decide to select 24 hours accessible. So with this, I know that the door is in operation 24 hours of the day. And then let's go to holidays. Now I've created some holidays here, Christmas holiday. So let's add a new holiday. To add a new holiday, just click the add button, and then let's say Workers' Day. Let's say Workers' Day. Workers' Day over here is May 1st. So holiday type is a holiday. You can choose depending on the kind of holiday it is, state holiday, federal government holiday, or company holiday, depending on the kind of holiday you want to use. So for the holiday start date, I'm going to issue a date to it, so that when that time comes, it just activates the holiday mode. So I'm going to include 1st of May 2023, and the date has to be in line with the date on the PC. Remember, initially we set it to synchronize with the date on the system you're using, so your system time has to be accurate. Make sure your CMOS battery is working at all time. Replace it if it's weak, so that it doesn't mess up the software, because the time synchronizes with the time on your system. So that is it. I am going to give it a holiday number. Christmas is holiday number 1, so I'm going to give this holiday number 2, and the time zone is going to be the time zone 1. This one here that we have, that's the only time zone we have. So click OK. You can see Workers Day is added. So let's go to door setting. Because there's no door attached to this particular PC right now, they can't see any door here. So if you have attached any door to this if I had attached the door to this system, you'll have seen a door here, and then we'll have just do the settings on the door. And also the access level, we can't do any access level because there's no device attached to the system. Then anti-pass back, there is no device attached to this PC for now, so that is why the option is not there. Then personnel group, we have different kinds of personnel group. So let's say I've added first floor staff. You can decide to add yours, so that you know the area where this personnel work, or the kind of group. So let's say linkage name, what connects this personnel together. Let's say I already have first floor staff, let's say second floor staffs. Then I can decide to give it a remark if I want to. And then group number, I'm going to use group number 3. And then this is a verified type. I will use card and fingerprint. The reason why I want to use card and fingerprint is if their card is not accessible, I can use a fingerprint to verify. So valid on holidays too, because some might decide to work on holidays, or people that work overtime on holidays, so it will still be valid on holidays. So let's go to multi-card opening. There is no device attached to this PC, so that is the reason why there is no doors here that we can just grant multi-level opening to, multi-card opening to. And the option here is real-time monitoring. So let's do real-time monitoring. With this, you can be able to see who goes through each door at all time. So if I had attached door to this PC, or a device to this PC, you'll have seen all the doors, and then at this bottom area you'll have seen the date and time, the device name, the card number, personal ID of the particular staff that is going through that door at that particular time. So but this map, because we are not going to be adding any map or map part to this for now, because it's a bit complicated and I don't want us to go into this right now. So we'll leave out the map area for now, and then let's go to reports. So with this report, you can be able to print out or generate a report of the movement and who has access to each of the devices, each of the doors within the premises that this software controls. So that is the essence of the report. with the report, I can get a full list of all the doors and the staff that went in through the doors, and the time. That is, it will be, there will be a timestamp on each of them, and the date, and the means by which they were able to access that door. Is it by fingerprint or is it by card? So I can decide to set a time that I want to take. I can decide to take it daily. This option is for events of today alone, and I can decide to take events of the last 3 days, events of this week, events of last week, and then. So if, for example, I want to search out a particular person, I want to single out a particular staff, I just include the person's personal ID, his first name, and then I will just search. The verified type, I will determine which one I want to use, the card or the fingerprint. Then I'll search. Then the person, it will bring up for me the information I want concerning that particular staff. Here at the bottom is where all the informations will be, and so this will only cover event for the day, for today alone, and you can decide to get event for 3 days. So this will give you access to event for the last 3 days, and then all of it will show here, and you can decide to get event for the week, event for last week, exemption events, and I will just export them. It is going to come out in Excel file, then I print it out or save it as soft copy, depends on what you want to do. So let's go to attendance. Attendance is actually like a software within this software on its own. So it will open up another software called ZKTime.net. ZKTime.net this controls the attendance of each of the staff within the premises. So I'll just wait for the software to load so that we can just get into the attendance. Alright, so this is the attendance, and the name will be time.net, and these are all the options available there that we're going to explore right now under the time. So we start with the timetable. Now for the timetable, this will show you it will help you set time for a timetable for each of the staff, when they come in, how long they're about to work, when they go out, how many minutes is regarded as late, how many minutes is regarded as early. For example, you don't want them to come into the premises 30 minutes earlier, depending on the security level. You don't want them to go out 30 minutes late. So when they come in 30 minutes early, they are not granted access, or there'll be a penalty. Once they come in there, there'll be a penalty for them, or a deduction. Or when they go out 30 minutes earlier, that will be regarded as a early out. So you can see I can decide to check the checkout time. Let's say the checkout time will be 1800 hours, which is around 6 p.m. if I using the 12-hour system. So 6 p.m. So the early out time now will be 5 minutes. You can decide to make it 30 minutes, but right now it's 5 minutes. So you can only go out, have the grace of leaving 5 minutes early. If you leave anything above 5 minutes, it's going to be an early out, and is either there is going to be a query or there will be deduction, or depending on the kind of penalty you want for it. So you can make it flexible, but we are not using the flexible for now. We just make do with regular. So let's go to the shift option. Now under the shift option, you can set the shift period for each of the staff. That is the shift that each of the staff will be operating, when the morning shift starts, when the night shift starts, the time it starts, and who is supposed to work morning shift, night shift, just like that. So you can just use the shift period to be able to set a shift for each of the staff, and then you time them accordingly, and then set the days where each of the staff will be on shift. For example, this particular personnel is supposed to be on night duty, so you can just come over here and plan it out with this. So you can do a 1 month plan with this. So this is like a week plan, a week cycle. You can decide to make it depending on what you want. So let's say, for example, I want to name this shift. I will just give it let's say I'm doing morning shift, so we are going to add the shift to it. So let's give it a name. The shift name is going to be morning shift. And then the start date is going to be depending on the date, and then is it going to be the cycle, is it going to be daily or weekly? So if it's daily, you can see it has 24 hours, and then the time is there, so you can use this to set the shift for the person. So if it's weekly, you can see day 1 to day 7, and then this is 0 hours to 00 hours, so which is a 24-hour shift. So you can decide to set the period that you want for morning shift, for example from 9 p.m. to 1700 hours, depending on the timing. So let's add another shift. Let's add the night shift to it. So we add the night shift, and then we are going to set the time that the night shift will cover. We're going to be from 0700 hours. So with this area here, you can just set the night shift, and if it's on a daily basis that you want it, you can set it also. So that is that for night shift. So we're going to save night shift. You can see it displayed here. So let's all right, so we are going to add the morning shift. Morning shift wasn't saved before, so that is why it's not showing on the left pane. So I'm going to go back and re-add the morning shift and save it. So I've added the morning shift. I can set the period that the morning shift will elapse if I want to in this area. So I can decide to set it from 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, so depending on what you want. So I'm going to save this, and then let's say I want to include the afternoon shift. If your organization operates morning, afternoon and night shift. So I will just include afternoon shift. So basically, but what you just do here is to, under the shift period, is just add the shift and add the timing for each of this of the shift. So that being said, we'll go to schedule. So for the schedule, I can schedule a particular staff working hours and period when the staff is going to have his or her off. So under the schedule, I can schedule it for the staff. You can see the only staff I have right now is Brittany. That is the only staff that I've been able to save right now is Brittany. But if you have saved more than one staff, on your left pane you have list of all your staff, so you can just schedule them, the days they are going to be off, the day they will be on, how many hours they are to work, when they are going to be on sick leave, when they are going to be on holidays, when they are going to take their leave from work, if it's going to be monthly, bi-weekly leave, depending on the schedule you want for the staff. So you can schedule the staff working hours and working period, so it'll be easy to manage that particular staff, and you can use that to time when the staff comes in or when the staff goes out, if it tallies with the schedule you have for that particular staff. So that is just it for, let's say, for off. You can decide to include off for the person, and then you can decide to take it off from the days of work. So I'll assume that this blue area that is shown right now is the days that the person who is supposed to be in work. So if I click put the person on off, then I will just go and remove one of the days on it. You can see, so I click this particular day is going to be off for the person on the 9th, on the 10th, depending on the day you want to include as off. But here by default the off is on Sunday. The off here is on Sunday, so you can decide to include the payment code or according to the level. So here I'm just include work, since the person is just a staff, just the personnel staff. So that is just it pretty much for this. They just schedule the person's work. So let's go to exception assign. So for the exception assign, I can decide to give the person a vacation and then schedule the person for a vacation or for sick leave, and then I just include the date when it's going to start, when it is going to end. So let's go to the record. So under the record, this will give me the record of the person's workflow, how many days they've worked, how many hours of the week they worked, and then when they came late, deductions that are applicable to those days that they came late. Then I can decide to export it as a hard copy and send it to the required department. So we under calculate, we can calculate the days that the person has worked and then how much the person is supposed to earn. Then we can just export it to the required department. Then let's go to reports. So with this report, it will give me the report of each of the staff, late arrivals, early arrivals to work. I'll just click on it and click on the staff. Here right now there is no data on it. I've not included any data on this particular software right now, but if I had included the data and then people have started using each of the devices and the doors, the data will be here. So daily total will be here, and then early in, early out, absence from work, all of them will be here, and I can just get the summary of all of them and send it to the required department. So the last option we have here is the system. So pretty much you might not want to change anything under the system except you are an administrator. So right now I will assume that you are an administrator, and then so you set your role here as an administrator. So I'm going to click in administrator because the user is going to be admin, which is the administrator. Then administrator has the right to change the password if you want to, so you can change the password under this pane. And then the system initialization, you can set when or which area of the pane you want to initialize. And then system parameter, for this I won't advise you to change anything much here, except you want to change the calendar. If you're not using the Gregorian calendar, you can use the Iranian calendar, or you can change the font also. But aside that, there is really not that much you might want to change here, so you can just leave it as default if you're using Gregorian calendar, or if the font is setting is okay for you. And the next thing is to select a language. We can decide to sync data attendance to module. So that is it pretty much for the system area. You really don't have much to do here under the system, so we just exit it, and that will be that.